and Amazon came up with Goodwill.
Amazon's one of them, yeah. And it's important, and we're trying to really get like more companies to kind of think differently and to start looking at like these alternative workforce supplier programs, because it really is beneficial. I mean, it's once you start working with these individuals, like say your nephew, for example, it's amazing what they're actually able to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
And it really makes them
So get that music off.
Amazon.
You'll have competition.
They're giants, and also just great that they're actually.
So we're going to be beginning off this wonderful event with some good old-fashioned networking. Who's excited? Let's get it, let's get it.
Awesome.
So we're going to be passing this out. I need everyone to partner up with one other person. Alright, so everyone get one person going. Let's pass these out. Let's pass these out. Who needs a pencil?
How are you?
Everybody.
Of course. This is my colleague.
I'm Amy. Nice to meet you.
No, I look beautiful.
Let's go back.
So nice to see you again.
Anyone need pencils?
Should we use it? We'll take a pencil.
We'll take a pencil.
I guess I'll take one of those.
Yeah, old school. Old school.
Yeah, I haven't had a pencil in a while.
It's so old school, we're going to click on the eraser for more lead.
I'm learning how to use it.
Is everyone partnered up?
Yes.
Perfect. So in 2 minutes, your goal is to get these following 5 information from your partner. Improvements to the shopping cart, the next vacation spot, favorite snack, the 3 apps that you would keep on your phone. Just 3, okay? No more than that. And if you were independently wealthy, what would you do with your time? All right, so let's begin. All right, guys. So how did everything go? Who had things in similar? All right, who has something similar? What do you guys have in similar?
That was similar?
Yes.
Well, we both think that we should keep our text messages.
Okay.
We both, our favorite snack is chocolate. Both of
Chocolate.
us. We both want to go to Europe on our next vacation.
Okay.
Yeah, and we both felt that we should eat veggies in our cart.
More veggies.
Veggies in our cart.
That was a good snack. Who else? Who else has something
What
similar?
do you want to put on it?
You guys have that? Sure.
Okay, so for our shopping cart, we want sanitary wipes on the cart.
That's what we said.
We want, it's about, Lana wants an umbrella so she can stay dry or cool. And Joe wants a video so he can make sure he's getting the right stuff for whatever he's shopping for.
Right. And he's posting like a live LinkedIn video or something? Okay. Who else has something in similar?
Is similar or similar?
Similar.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, Amy and I's app were pretty much the same. We said banking, email, text messaging. We both have the same favorite snack. We both have huge sweet tooth. So we said ice cream.
That's really good.
As far as if we were independently wealthy, we said we would travel and volunteer. And we also took the shopping cart thing a little more literal, I suppose. We said we'd want hand sanitizing wipes, a purse safety lock, and like little compartments.
A purse?
You could pull out and separate.
And what do you want?
Like
Like little
compartments that you could pull
compartments.
out, so if you have to separate something like
Yeah.
chemicals
Yes.
from your
Oh, yeah,
fresh
that's a good
produce,
idea.
that kind of thing you could, but otherwise you could pull back. Yeah.
So did anyone learn anything interesting about the other person that they didn't have a clue about before? I saw you nodding your head.
No, we know.
Yeah, what did you learn about it?
Everything was.
He likes yogurt, that's his favorite snack.
I'm just taking a day by day. I'm just trying.
Okay.
This week I'm really happy.
Shlomo?
She has grandkids in Denmark.
Denmark, okay.
Don't
I
worry.
met Kathy a few times, I didn't know that myself. Perfect, perfect.
That's awesome.
So a lot of you guys may be wondering, what is this event really about? And for me to tell you what this event is about, I have to first share a story. Who likes stories? Excellent, excellent. So this happened around 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had just graduated from college, and I was about to enter the workforce. I was really excited. I really wanted to see what it was going to be like to be an engineer. So I got hired by this huge engineering firm. Now, you know what they say about big companies. When you're a part of a big company, you're a little fish in a big sea, right? So basically, by being this little fish, Unfortunately, I didn't have much connection with my manager. There were a lot of times I was going to work and I didn't have anything to do. So I hit up my manager, I emailed him a few times. He's like, I'll get you something to do later, okay? I'll get you something to do. So a few weeks goes on by, and still, I have nothing to do. And now I'm starting to get bored. I mean, a guy could just watch so many ESPN videos, right? Well, around that time, there was a guy that was sitting right next to me in my cubicle, and his name was Dennis. Dennis noticed how bored I was. And Dennis decided to mentor me. He brought me over to his cube, and he started to teach me a lot of engineering stuff. He started to give me some work to make me feel involved. And to be honest, Dennis really felt like a leader. Well, believe it or not, Dennis was a brilliant engineer. And within a few weeks to a few months, Dennis's reputation was blasting all throughout the floor. He was building that reputation as a top-tier engineer. So you know what happened? He went from an associate all the way to a vice president. He went from the cubicle right next to me to the big office right down the hall. Dennis was officially a manager, and my old manager got fired. Good riddance. And what happened was, Dennis, being this new manager of mine, he gave me a lot of good work. He really made me feel involved, and I was finally having fun at work. It was something that I was enjoying. Well, 3 weeks goes on by. 3 weeks goes on by, and I noticed something very, very weird happen. Dennis starts packing up the stuff in his office, gets all the stuff, and brings it back right to the cubicle next to me. And he acts as though nothing's changed. He went from being a vice president back to being an associate. Now, I don't want to step on any toes. I don't want to ask him what happened. Like, you were just a manager, and now you're back to being an associate. What happened? I don't want to ask him. But eventually, curiosity got the best of me. So a few weeks goes on by, and we're over here eating a buffet together. Now, we're both eating tandoori chicken and chicken biryani. And I decide it's a perfect time to ask him what happened. Him, midway eating the chicken, I was like, Dennis, what happened? You were just a manager not too long ago. Like, what happened? And he looked at me, he put his chicken bone down, and he said, Arman, I asked to be demoted. Why? At that point, he gave me a piece of wisdom that stuck with me for a long time. He said, Arman, I like being an engineer. You see, machines don't argue back, but people do. At that point, I made one massive realization. There's a lot of workers in this world. There's a lot of bosses in this world, but there are only a very few amount of leaders. And there's a reason why. The reason is because being a leader, it's not just about having a position. It's something that you do to your employees by inspiring them, making them want more, and it's a lot of headaches that you have to deal with. This conference, this seminar, is mainly about leaders from around the area gathering together. It's going to be a fun event, and we're going to be sharing insights and wisdom with one another so we can get these insights and then go back to our own locations and share it with our team. Not to only spread knowledge, but to inspire one another. Who's ready?
Woo!
Yeah. Again. So Patrick's going to start off by introducing our first speaker.
Thanks. That was great. I love that story. So over her 17-year career, our first speaker has accelerated from staff accountant to the controller at a local S&P 500 business. She has a master's degree in accountancy and is a CPA in the state of Florida. And it was her position as a financial team lead that helped her discover her true passion as a leader. She has an incredible dedication for her team, and she is driven by inspiration instead of fear. And that makes her really a true innovator in the leadership landscape. She has the patience to uncover the unique characteristics of her team so that she can identify the affirmation that they need in order to build and maintain their trust and to keep them inspired. She has the grit and determination necessary to have the difficult conversations to drive for leadership change within her own company. And she has the passion to share that with others through her writing and speaking in seminars like this one. When she's not following her dream as a leadership champion, she's fulfilling her other identity as a superhero for her 2 young daughters.
Aww.
Please help me welcome our host, Lana Guzy Is.
What a great introduction. And what a great team of people. Thank you for coming. So let me ask you a question. Have you had a situation when you thought it would be one thing and it turned out to be something completely different? Yeah, me too. 4 years ago, when I started as assistant controller in an international manufacturing company, I thought it would be easy. I came with a 3 years leadership experience from international public accounting firm where I had a great training, amazing team, and no HR issues. They love me. And here I go. 5 months into the job, I thought I knew organization well, my team, and I saw some areas for improvement. So I knew exactly how I gonna fix it. Team building event. I chose 5 dysfunctions of a team by Patrick Lanciani as my model. I wanted the team to enjoy great communication skills, working effectively together, and just enjoying being with each other. So the day came, I had slides ready and lunch all ordered and ready to go. I took my time telling them exactly what they needed to change. We talked about the fact that there were people sitting next to each other, emailing to each other with a copy to me as if they didn't trust each other. I also took my time giving them very specific examples as how they would respond and do what I told them without asking any questions, as if they were afraid of conflict. Obviously talked about other things like lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability. I also finished with a couple instances where I thought team was only thinking about their tasks and not results of a team. I really thought they appreciated my feedback. And then, as part of understanding the model, slide like this come up. For one team member, maybe saying, I want your job. And the other one, I'm just here for the paycheck. Before I knew what was happening, a team member jumps up and shouts, if we were doing that badly, maybe we need a real controller here, and storms off. 10 pair of eyeballs were staring back at me, waiting for my reaction. Anyone else have the same feelings I asked? The reaction I got, so I carried on. Truth to be told, I was shocked. I didn't know how I was going to get through the day. I kept reflecting to this incident throughout the day, thinking, what could have gone wrong? Towards the end of the day, I realized something needed to change. Leadership needed to be adaptable, because one size doesn't fit all. And it's not them who needed to change. It was me. Since then, for 4 years, I've been practicing adaptable leadership. It's all, and sometimes it's every day. There are days when it's every minute. It's all about knowing yourself, knowing your team, and adapt accordingly. Adaptable leadership has many pieces to it. We can be here weeks. We won't have time today. I will focus on a few areas, and I know you would want to deep dive into them. We just won't have time for that today. I promise you, before the end of today, I will share information with you of how you can continue learning with us. Fair enough? So today I want to focus on what is the situation in the workforce. According to the Gallup survey, only 34% of our employees are engaged. That leaves anyone else accountant and finance here? At least 53 are disengaged. And and the remaining 13 are actively disengaged. They basically don't show up to work. So what do we do about that? According to last secretary with the bellwether theft, fear is a ruling practice in our organizations. Our employees are afraid of their managers. They're scared of losing their jobs. They're terrified of being replaced by robots. Think about our HR policies, bonus schemes, performance evaluations, salary increases. All of those are push factors, extrinsic motivations. And what's the opposite of that? Intrinsic, right? It's basically a pull factor. It's employees motivating themselves. What? That's a crazy idea. So let's unpack it a little bit. What is the basic human need?
Security.
Okay. What else?
They have to feel safe.
They have to feel safe.
Food and water.
Food and water. Think about other factors. Belonging, right? Sense of being part of something bigger.
Belonging.
Sense of community.
Belonging. Yes.
Acceptance.
Yeah. And the second one, being inspired and inspire others. So it's your job as a leader to provide tools and resources to your team so they can feel safe and feel inspired. In other words, no fear workspace is inspiring workspace. Before you could do that, what's really important is to understand yourself. And that's what the adaptable leadership model is all about. It's all about knowing yourself and your preferred leadership style. It's understanding the needs of each one on your team and adapt accordingly while continuing living into your values. So let's do activity around leadership. We're gonna split this room in half. Your team A, your team B. So I want one of you to have a notebook and a pen. So someone on team A, notebook and a pen.
Who wants to be the captain of Team A?
You will have to stand up so you can be closer to your team. Everyone stand up so you're closer to your teams.
Hi, team.
Hi, team.
Hi, team.
Go team!
So team A, you're gonna brainstorm on the qualities of a good leader. So think about people you worked with. What made them so good? And team B, guess what you're gonna do? Qualities of a bad leader. So think about people you work with or working with now. I really don't care. And by the way, you have 2 minutes. Any questions?
2 minutes.
Ready, set, go.
All right. Number one, I would say somebody who actually
Let's get a
listens.
circle.
Yeah.
An active listener.
Answer for you.
It's not like
Mean
That leadership.
Like
Mean
random
people.
Mean people.
So trust, I guess we should say
We only got
trust.
stories.
Honesty.
Respect.
Trusting.
Empathy.
Because it's all trust and respect.
Yes, sir.
Right. Trust and respect.
Right faster.
We're like, we have so many good ones.
Read off.
Respect, empathy,
Self-consumed.
kindness. I missed the first 2 things that you said. Kind
Allowance.
I'm concerned only about the bottom line of the hour.
And then
I
honesty.
can only read, I can only write so fast.
Disorganized.
Inspire.
Somebody who understands the goals of the company and can communicate those goals to the employees.
Don't put unengaged.
Not on the sea level.
On a level that's,
Integrity,
you know,
Exactly.
got all those other qualities.
We're open
Yeah.
to suggestions.
Yeah. perfect.
Yes, definitely.
Willing to allow staff to make decisions in their own areas,
Yes.
so that they can be individual leaders themselves. Empowering people, yeah.
Creative.
The how versus the what.
Innovative.
Uplifting. Somebody,
Sorry.
everybody,
You wanted it.
everybody needs a pat on the back.
Uplifting.
For once in a while.
Appreciative.
Yes.
Appreciative.
Helpful.
Yes, don't just sit back and
Careless.
watch us work.
Right.
Aware.
Mm,
Good.
Say short-sighted.
I might have missed some of the things.
No, you're fine. I'm
Great
sorry. We're just
job.
firing it all
Why
out.
don't you just read those off to us
Yeah,
and
read
see
it.
what else we come up with?
So,
Yeah.
an active listener,
We should just go like around.
Like
No,
We should have gone around in a circle.
yeah,
That's
no micromanaging, trust,
Well.
respect, empathy,
Dishonest.
kindness, and allowing,
Dishonest,
inspiring,
irresponsible,
good communicator, honest,
ill-mannered.
open to suggestions, allow staff to make some of the decisions, uplifting,
What is the like yelling at
appreciative,
Dominating.
and helpful.
Dominating.
I think it's really important
It's
that
just
the
gonna say
goals
that
of the
they're-
company
I was just gonna
explain
say.
to the employees. The leader
Okay,
can
Bill, you're the
explain,
one
this
that's
is where
gonna-
we're
you're
going,
the
this is
announcer.
why
All
we're
right.
going there, and this is
Actually, no, I have
what
one.
I need you to be focused on.
Clear objectives.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you can take a seat back.
There's water under there.
Who would like to go first?
Yes, there's one.
Okay.
You guys need more
We had,
like
your team meet, we had traits of a bad leader. So just write them all down. A mean person, no input, not giving clear future for what you're doing, selfish, disorganized, disengaged, wrong perception of leadership. I put this down, bully, how versus what? Chasing only the numbers and not real, don't even care how you get it done, just doesn't matter. Careless, short-sighted, lack of motivation themselves, they're disengaged. Lack of just knowing your people or not caring. Dishonesty, ill-mannered, aggressive, and insecure.
I've had all those.
Insecure.
That's all we have. That's as far as I can.
That's a good list. Thank you for sharing.
Get right. Thank you.
You may.
So the good. For the good, we had somebody that's an active listener. You know, they actually listen to their team. They don't micromanage, they trust, they have respect, empathy, they're nice, kindness and allowing, they're inspiring and uplifting, good communication skills, honest, open to suggestions. They allow their staff to make some of the decisions. They clearly state the objectives, what's expected of them, or what's expected of their employees. They're appreciative and helpful, so they don't just sit back and do nothing.
That's a very detailed list. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
So any of you recognize any of those traits in yourself? Let's be honest.
Honesty is beautiful.
What's important to know, what resonated with you, Kathy, may not be the same thing that resonated with you. And all of it is because of things we believe in, or our core values. So where you may be thinking, oh, this is a great trait of a, or this is a trait of a bad leader, you may say, what's wrong with that? And that's okay. How many of you took personality tests before? Oh, wow, everyone. What kind?
Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
Wonder look.
Very good.
It is.
The disc, yeah, all good ones. And I'm sure you learned something very useful from each one of those. But did you learn about your core values? Well, what is the core value? I love this short definition by Brené Brown. It's a value is a way of being or believing that we hold most important, and living into our values, practicing them. So the next, what I want to do is the habit. I'm just saying it's there. What I'd like you to do is look at those values and pick five that you believe are the most important to you. Who doesn't have a handout? Anyone else? Okay. So pick five, and by the way, you have only 1 minute.
Of course.
And by the way,
Thank you.
Good, Lana.
So this is how, what our values are, not what how other people receive us, right? What our values are?
Mhm.
Choose only 5, okay.
Only 5.
Do you want us to rank them or just choose
Just
5?
circle them. They're personal to you. I'm not gonna ask them what they are.
We want you to do your own too.
Oh, good. Because
Okay, so
they're
they're
personal to you, right? It's not something that.
You need a pencil too.
So pick 5 core values that you believe most important to you.
Joe, you want a board?
Mhm.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
So everyone should pick 5, right?
Yep.
Now look back at those 5. Do you believe this is what defines you? Is this is who you are when you're at your best? Is this is the filter you use when you have to make a hard decision? So I'll give you an example. One of my core values is making the difference. So my team and I were working late hours, staying late at work, and opportunity to go to Columbus for women's leadership program came up. I knew if I go, I have to work even more hours, don't see my 2 girls that I'm superhero for. And yet I decided to go because I knew if I go, I will make a bigger difference, bigger impact, helping to shape the culture of my organization. So I went. So look back at those. And by the way, you have 30 seconds. Pick the 2 that will answer this question. Just put a star next to them, only 2. 30 seconds. So it's so important to know your core values because you will be in the situations as a leader, as a team member, as a parent, just as a person that will not agree with you. And now you will understand why. So let me ask you another question. How many of you dread coming to work? Let's be honest. There's them.
It depends on the day.
Depends on the day. Okay.
Oh, dread.
Wouldn't it be great if you didn't feel that way?
Yeah, it is.
That would be amazing, right? And that's what adaptable leadership can bring to you. You can find true connections at work. You can actually have no frustration when people don't do what you tell them to do. You can get excited and love coming to work. And finally, you can enjoy working with your team. You feel as part of the family. What do you experience today? You're loving it. I know you do. What we plan for September 19th is a build-up that will teach you how to build your team. I will tell you more about it later. And I thank you so much for today.
What a wonderful speech. And I really love the part where Lana kind of flipped it back on us and asked what kind of stuff do we recognize with ourselves. Because self-awareness is such a big thing. Now, the next speaker is Joe Yazbeck. Joe is an acclaimed international world-class speaker. He's the best-selling author of the book No Fear Speaking, which has been translated and published in 8 different languages. Wow. Joe has delivered over 3,000 plus presentations in his life on a global scale for 35 plus years. 35. That's older than me. We're talking I'm 27. Wow.
You said that with such wisdom.
That was on my list of core values.
Wisdom.
Joe's training has empowered tens and thousands of people within the audience. He was actually the creator of the Roundtable Leaders Taking Action, which provided a lot of valuable discussions among leadership circles. And he's currently working and coaching top executives, leaders within different industries like accounting, finance, technology, and so much more. He's the founder and president of Prestige Leadership Advisory. And I just want you guys to know as well, he's been my mentor and coach for the past 3+ months, and he's been doing a tremendous job, not only helping with brand messaging, but he's also helped me flip my entire business around from ground up. Please put your hands together for the man, the myth, the legend, Joey Yazbeck.
Armin, you have to know something about Armin. I have to turn the tables on you here. When I first met him, I thought, oh my goodness, 5 years out of college. You know, I mean, people are exceptional today coming out of college. Sometimes you don't find this. You find people looking for a job or trying to hide at a hamburger stand, even after getting their degree. Serious. And he's had to go, what is your purpose in life? He goes, I just want to help young people and young professionals that they don't have to be that young. He says, I just want to help them grow. I want to help them become more confident. I want to help them speak. I want to help them. And he's got such a following. He's 25. He's got a book out called Level Up Mentality.
Yep.
Lots of followers. Shlomo, same thing. Shlomo, we work together. Anyway, these are incredibly young, but dynamic, confident people making changes in the world. So, I mean, the world is a better place. Really, seriously. When people ask me, you think the world's in a better condition now than it was 30 years ago? Absolutely. I don't care what you're watching on TV. Because TV's job is to get you in such a state of chaos and franticness, right? Because fear is a controllable thing, right? That's why you see all of the commercials that you see on medication and this drug and this drug and this drug and this drug. And if you keep watching enough TV, pretty soon you're going to be, you know. Anyway, so thank you for that. And I'm really happy that Lana decided to host her first seminar series here. And we've got to hand it to you. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Okay, and let me say this. Leadership. So we're talking about leadership. You know, this is a word that's been getting kind of tossed around a lot these days. So I'm going to give you a story. And one of the core values I circled is courage. Because you can't really make strides in life unless you've got the guts and the fortitude and the ability to persist through obstacles to the other side. Otherwise, you end up stopped. Or you end up agreeing with people that don't believe in you, which could be a real disease. So I'm going to give you a story of a client, and I'm bringing this client up not to brag about my client or my work with my client, but just to tell you the kind of person this person is. This is a dentist. He happens to be the most successful, largest practice in Texas. And one day, he gives me a call after reading my book, and he says, I need your help. He sounded desperate. I said, what's going on? I've been falsely accused of Medicaid fraud. I said, wow. I've got to go into the court, the legislative court, and speak, and I can't speak. I'm shy, I'm this, I'm that, you know. And he goes, okay. I said, why do you want to do this? Because I'm innocent. And somebody is screwing with the Medicaid department. There's funny money going on, and I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm pulling the string, he says. Okay? This man continued to deliver to underprivileged minority kids, despite the fact he was not being paid for it, and they withheld $2 million of his own money. That's a lot. That when I heard $2 million, I said, oh boy. And I got interested not just in helping him, but in having him discover success, have a finish line that's a big win. So I'm training him online because he's in Texas. And I've got him doubled up, tripled up sometimes in my sessions. And I'm getting him, turned from a lamb into a tiger. And I could hear his wife in the background going, yes! Yes! Right? I mean, $2 million could pay for a lot of, not diapers, but trips or what have you, right? He goes into court after about 6 weeks of maybe a dozen or so training sessions. And he starts to go on the offensive. And I said, Dr. Juan, you're the biggest, largest, most successful dental practice in Texas, and you're about to go under. He goes, I know. I said, how many other dentists have dropped off like flies? He goes, quite a few. I mean, they had television stations promoting that dentists are taking advantage of Medicaid laws. You see what I mean? So there were a lot of things he had to maintain as the leader in his industry. Is that an Amber Alert?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right. We all good?
Yeah.
Okay. He goes into court and starts firing. I said, you've got to go on the offensive, not the defensive. You've got to start asking key questions. And he started asking questions that did not make sense to the Attorney General of the state that was sitting there. And he turns to the Medicaid officials going, are you going to answer that question? I'd like to know. You see what's going on here? He took over the courtroom. He decided that was his space to own. He was the leader of his industry and he was not going to give it up. And what happened, and I got a fantastic call the next day, and he said, I think these two fellows are facing criminal charges because they were funny moneying it with the money they were receiving because of their own inept management of finances. So I said, well done, very well done. He goes, I said, you got to go to the press. You've got to replace the bad publicity with the good publicity. And he had the Attorney General go to bat for him to be a spokesperson. And now all of a sudden it turned because the Attorney General didn't want this bad mark on his plate. So now I'm putting on his PR hat. I said, Dr. Juan, go to the press, let him know what happens, and I'm now training him on press skills, how to answer tough questions. This is somebody who's just enough to get in front of people and talk. So he did this, and he decided he owed it to the dentists and the medical practitioners that this should never happen again, and he decided to form the Texas Medicaid Reform Association. I said, this was after creating a coalition. You've got to get a coalition going. And coalitions are powerful. So 3,700 people decided to become members within 2.5 months. Several of them wanted to work for him. Guess what he ended up doing? Opening up 3 additional offices. So this thing about courage and persistence and being able to maintain your position as a leader, it's not because he earned it, yes, but because he had to fight for it. He had to fight for it. I said, Dr. Juan, you're not done yet. What do you want me to do now? You're going to write a book. And he wrote a book. And he wrote a book about this, and I said, you've got to be able to get this story legal proofed so that you are not going to get hung for, misrepresentation, false data, etc., unsubstantiated documentation, right? So he got his lawyer together. He even got a writer who can help him write all of this. So here I am. I'm trying to figure out, what do we call this book? Now, I've had a number of clients that became authors and became best-selling authors because being an author, the word author sits right inside that word authority. Authority, leadership, expertise. You're the expert in this area. Write the book. So here I am, 3 o'clock in the morning I get up and have a sound sleep. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. There's the title. You ready for this? Truth Decay. Everybody I've said that title to went, whoa! I was trying to figure out tooth decay, dentists, falsehood, corruption, truth decay. And the title underneath the book, and by the way, the book is on the table on the book stand outside. How a South Texas dentist fought political corruption and won, and what you can do if it happens to you.
Wow.
Wow.
So I mean, he's written a book on this. He's now got a huge following. He has helped a lot of people. This is leadership. Now you're probably sitting going, well, I'm just a manager in a company, or I'm just a director or something, or I just have a little team of people that I manage. I get paid every day. My job is, blah, 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 blah. Well, what is it? What makes people wake up? What makes us rise to a level that before we thought, that's too much? It's like the grandmother whose grandson is kind of who's underneath the car and doesn't see the driver ready to back out, and the grandmother runs over and yells, "Stop!" or something, and picks up the car and gets you know what I mean? Where does this sudden necessity or urge come from? So all of a sudden, do we have to be close to death before something happens? I don't think so. No. It's purpose. It's all about purpose. What drives us? What is it inside that you say, enough is enough, damn it, and go, I'm not going to give you the middle finger here, okay? I'll give you all 10, okay? And you sort of go, I've had enough. I'm not going to live this life anymore. I'm not going to continue to do the same thing the same way and expect the same result. Expect a different result, I should say. Purpose. Why are we, here's a question for you. Why are we alive? Now, I'm not opening this up to religion, okay, or politics, or anything else. Why are we alive? Why are we here? That's a rhetorical question for you. We are alive for one reason. Now, you can debate me if you want. We're here to help. We're here to help people. If we're not helping people, what the hell are we doing? We're helping ourselves. Can we help ourselves without helping others? Don't think so. It's not as much fun. How do you want to help people is a great question to ask yourself. How are you helping people? So purpose. Now, how do you arrive at purpose? Purpose is a sense that of objective. It is a route that gives you a pathway to accomplish something. Okay? You say, I want people in the world to get along and have peace and not fight. Okay, that's a goal. What is your purpose? What is your route that you're taking to get there? Well, you could be a minister. You could be a social worker. You could be, you see what I'm saying? How do you want to help people? You could be a teacher, a counselor. You could be a consultant. You could be a speaker, a coach. There's so many hats that you can wear that would be your purpose that helps you to arrive at this accomplished end. And I'm going to tell you something. I will guarantee you that at one time in your life, you knew exactly what that was. And look, I'm not here to make you feel bad about what you're doing. I want you to soar on what you're doing right now. Soar, expand, right? And I'm not here to say like, what you're doing is not good enough. I'm saying somewhere along the line you made a decision that you really wanted. I'll tell you what, I've had people in this office sitting down one-on-one in a private conversation who've had incredible success in their life and they're not happy. And I said, what do you really want to do? And I've had to answer that question. I've had to ask that question 15, 20 times before I got the real answer.
Mm-hmm.
What have you really wanted to do ever? Like, all right, don't laugh at me. I won't. You promise? I want to be a musician in a rock band. This man's making millions and millions of dollars, right? And you would never think that's, he's, basically, there are people like this. I've had, I had one gal, very, very successful lady who just raised a family and built a beautiful company, and she wanted to have like a Cheers hamburger stand where she can meet people and just get along and have people drop by at work, and it was like that was it. I remember one person say, I want a bowling alley. And the thing was it seemed like the common denominator of all of these were people were having fun, uplifted, and were enjoying themselves. And they weren't happy before. They just wanted to relax and enjoy and help people. And I'm giving you a different slant on leadership here. I'm giving you a little bit of a different approach or look at this. Leadership isn't you're some military general or you're some big CEO of a company, or it doesn't even have to be a company. To me, the best leaders in the world are parents. Think of all the qualities that you have to have as a parent in terms of leadership. Patience, drive, courage, balance. Oh my God, yeah.
More patience.
More patience. Understanding. Right? Leadership, right? All right, so we're going to go into something. I want to move a little bit on from purpose and how a purpose is broken down, okay? Like, I want purpose to fire you up. I want you fired up about your purpose. I want you to have a purpose on fire. Purpose en fuego. I don't know, how do you say purpose in Spanish?
Propósito.
Propósito? Propósito en fuego. My wife is from Venezuela. And she has come up with some pretty intense words for me. I won't say them here. Okay, anyway. Purpose. And by the way, did anybody write in one of those core values? What was yours that you wrote in?
Logical.
Logical? Good, okay. Did you write something in?
I didn't
No.
see
Any write-ins? Those would be interesting to me. I wrote in the word freedom. Freedom. Who doesn't want freedom? Do you want your team to be free? Free to be. Free to do. Free to have. What's the opposite of freedom?
Bondage.
Entrapment. Can you imagine being entrapped in a job?
Yeah.
Okay? Can you imagine being entrapped at home? That's sometimes the worst kind of entrapment. Freedom is a very important thing. The freedom, when you have a purpose, the freedom to create, the freedom to decide an outcome. See, freedom. So let's look at this. This is my mission statement. Okay? It's my company mission statement. I'm bringing this up to you. It's actually on the wall behind you. Kind of looks like there's a camera on the wall back there, doesn't it? To advise and develop ethical, competent, and productive leaders who become powerful communicators, improving the world they influence, or improving our world. I actually changed the last 3 words. Improving the world they influence. Ethical, competent, productive. They become powerful communicators. So, ethical. Can we be free being dishonest? Can we be free if we're not competent? If we're not ethical and we're dishonest, guess what we're doing? We're hiding. You've seen people hiding. They put walls around themselves and then they become very insecure and then they start blaming people. Right? You can't be a leader being unethical. There have been a number of leaders in this last century that have assumed leadership roles that have annihilated populations. That's not ethical. You have to have leadership that has consequence to it. The consequences, if a person's going to make a decision, are they aware of the consequences of that decision? If you're going to annihilate millions of people, you're leading with no consequence. That's insane. That's not ethical. There are decision makers in companies that will let go of their companies because somebody wants to buy them, and they buy it and they tear it to pieces and they sell it off. And then you've got 1,000 people without jobs. That's not ethical. Competent? How can you be a leader if you don't know how to lead? Competency is knowing. Now, I can tell you this. When people come into human resources, right, when you walk in to want a job, when you're getting recruited, I'll tell you what I look for, okay? Because there's 3 things to keep in mind with people. You know, this is what leaders should be looking for. Is their willingness? Is there willingness? Is there willingness? Can the person demonstrate that they're willing to get the job done? That's willing. Do they have the ability? Are they able? Now, that doesn't mean they have to have the know-how. That's the 3rd thing. The know-how is separate from ability. Most of us are endowed with ability. We were growing up, we've had good parents, we had good teachers, we had jobs beforehand, but you know what? Ability is, can they solve problems? Can they think logically? Are they able to understand the difference between things? You see, are they sane enough to be able to push through and work with other people? Do they like people? You know, you have to like people. So you've got willingness and ability. Can they learn? Know-how. That's different. Will they be willing and able to get the know-how? You see what I'm saying here? That's a key leadership trait. Is anybody can rise up in an organization, or anyone can open a company and make it successful because they are utilizing those 3 traits. Okay? So when I say here, you cannot effectively lead if you don't communicate well. So to be an effective leader, you need to be a confident communicator. Because what is leadership's role? To coordinate. You're coordinating so that people can work together and achieve something. Without communication, you can't coordinate. That's why teams need to learn how to communicate with each other. That's why there are handoffs in companies. Each department and division hands off something to the next. And you've got to make sure it's complete, or you'd better send it back. It's sort of like a factory engineer, assembly line engineering kind of mentality. You see what I'm saying? Like you can pretty much sketch out a workflow and see how a company's workflow goes. And it doesn't get sent to the next area until it has done its job. And the next department goes, yes, all right, we got ourselves, sales is saying, darn, well done, marketing, fantastic, get all these leads, now we can close them. Okay, so the salespeople then close them, okay, and then they send them over to delivery to deliver the service. But wait, there's finance. Okay, in finances, right, controller? You don't send anybody to deliver until that thing is paid for. Okay? So if there's something sent to delivery without a paid invoice, whose job is that? To send it back. It's delivery's job to send it back. See, there is accountability. It's on the core value. Everyone in an organization has leadership core values because it takes accountability to say no. Or say, sorry, that person's not ready. Let me get it ready for you, put it in a package with a bow on it, make sure it's got every substance you needed in here. Make sense? Like you don't send your kids off to school until they're beautifully dressed. Whatever that means today. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a product for a family. You know, it's the kids. And it's the kids communicating well, good manners, dressed properly, you know, showing initiative, helping others, right? Understanding spiritual ideals. These are all wonderful things. These are the product of parenthood, leadership. All right, I'm going to show you 4 things, okay? And how are we doing so far?
Doing great.
It's good?
Yep.
Great.
Okay, yeah, questions? Thoughts?
No, I have them as you're talking, but I'm like.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to tell you, I want to ring your bell. That's what I want to do here. I want to ring your bell. I want purpose to be singing to you. Oh my God, how you should be saying to yourself, how strong is my purpose? How strong do I get up every day? I can't wait. Oh man, I have to go to sleep. Bummer.
I love that.
You don't have to go to sleep.
Sleep is really important.
Yeah, okay. All right, I
yeah,
understand.
you need to
Yeah,
have
that's
sleep,
true.
but be purpose to
Be purposeful.
Purposeful.
Exactly.
That's right. Got to make sure the body's not dragging you down the next day, right? Okay, can we see this? Wow, that's definitely changed. It did change from my slide. Okay, I'm going to read this to you. Right in the middle here, as these cross over, okay? Right, there are 4 circles that cross. You can write this down if you want, okay? And you've got here passion, mission, vocation, and profession crossing. What is your mission? Is what the world needs.